You ever actually realize that if you lost all your memories right now, that you could be an entirely new person? And that the only thing holding you back from being an entirely new fucking person right now, this moment, is you having an attachment to your previous memories, right? To not allow yourself to make certain changes just because you have a track record, right? Just because you have a certain reference experience that tells you otherwise. But you got to understand that if we kind of apply this experimental thought here of like, okay, what if I woke up tomorrow and I just, I had a fucking accident. I got into a fight. I smashed some motherfucker in the face. But then he kicked me in the face and I got a badass concussion where I lost all my memories. If that happened and you woke up tomorrow, you had no memory, no recollection of who you once were and everything that happened. If you woke up and you woke up in a hospital and someone, a doctor, comes to you and he starts explaining to you off of a little notepad. My man grabs a little fucking notepad just like this one, right? Starts reading shit out to you. Starts telling you, you one badass motherfucker, man. Goddamn. You got hoes, you got money, you billionaire, this, that, right? And he starts telling you the person that you are or that you were, right? Refreshing your memory. There was actually a movie about this. I believe it was called 50 First Dates. Don't hate on me because I watched a sucker ass movie, but it does illustrate the concept well. You know, you gotta compromise sometimes when you're watching a movie with a girl. Anyways, this movie, right, is about this woman who apparently lost her memory or whatever. And then every morning she wakes up with a clean slate. She doesn't know anything. And what her, I guess, boyfriend, husband, whatever did was he made a movie and they wake up on this boat and he made a movie about her life, like a 5-minute video going through everything, explaining, hey, this is why you lost your memory. This is who you are. This is who we are, blah, 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 going through everything, right? So every day this person wakes up with a new identity or a clean slate. And then through that video becomes the person, right? It becomes the same person that she's supposed to be, I guess, every single day, just because her memory is refreshed, right? And that's basically the same thing that you could do for yourself. But most people don't. Most people go with the default program, right? The program that is already there and has been there for years, ever since you were born and you were, essentially getting all these new reference experiences throughout your life. But if you just think of that mental experiment, hey, if you just lost all your memory and then you started telling yourself a new story about yourself, or then someone else like a doctor or, a husband or a family member or whatever started telling you stories about who you are, you would take that and you would just take that as reality because you're building it on top of a clean slate. And the reason that most people, because everybody kind of wants change, right? At least something in their life. Damn, I'm looking good today. Goddamn. A little suntan, a little beard. All right, enough. That's what I tell myself every morning, guys. I wake up, I go to the bathroom, I look in the bathroom, I start flexing, and I ask myself, who's the most handsome fucking guy in this bathroom? And there's an obvious answer to that because there's only one person. Anyways, you actually want to change something. So why aren't you? Because the way to change something is not actually what most people believe, and the whole, standard in the matrix type psychology that's pretty fucking ineffective, right? Where they prescribe you a bunch of shit and they start digging in your past and they start figuring out why. Why are you the way that you are? Why are you an insecure little bitch, right? Why are you crying whenever something small happens? Why are you procrastinating all the time? And then you're going to come out with all these different things. Oh, bro is traumatized. Bro's dad left him. Bro's mom wasn't a good mom. Whatever, bro. Come on. Everybody had that shit, okay? Everybody has trauma. Everybody has a bunch of shit happen to them. Everybody's been, well, not everybody's been in a street fighter near death, I guess. But most people have had some very severe shit happen to them. And most likely most people have had much more severe shit than you have. And I know that for myself to be true as well. Like sometimes I tell people about how I grew up and everything and the things that I've done and, experienced. And people will be like a girl, for example, right? They'll be like, oh, that's so traumatic, this and that. And it's, I really feel for you, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, to be honest, there's people that have had way worse shit than that, I was just talking to a friend of mine yesterday, and my man 50 Cent got shot 9 times. I mean, how much worse can it get? So anyways, there's literally women that get trafficked around since the ages of 4, right? And just get raped every day. There's just not anything that I can think of that would even come close to that. So you could probably just need to chill out with those fucking trauma stories. But anyways, that's what's going to happen if you go down that avenue. And they're going to look at the past and they're going to find reasons. Okay, you're this personality type. You're an avoidant lover and this and that and this and that. Okay, great, right? Very interesting. And yes, it can give you some awareness of why you've done what you've done and maybe what caused you to be like that. But even if you find out what caused you to be like that, let's say your mom, your dad, whatever, they give you a little slap on the face, maybe a little slap on the ass cheek, right? When you did something a little bit naughty, you little naughty ass bastard. And now you're like, oh, that's why I'm now avoidant of love and this and that. Okay, great, right? But what does that actually do for you? Does that help you with anything, right? Now you know potentially why that happened. And maybe you're even pretty sure that it happened because of that. But now, what does it do for you, man? It doesn't actually change you, right? It's just actually digging into the past more and it's just focusing on that, right? Whereas what you could also do is flip that shit right around and just look at the future and think about what would I want to change, right? Okay, so let's say that you do need a level of awareness of what you currently are, right? So you do need to ask yourself, okay, what identity, what self-image, what self-perception, what place am I being, right? What place am I coming from every day when I wake up? Well, I know that I'm a bit of a procrastinator, okay? That's where I'm coming from. I'm just basically pushing things off. Let's take that as an example. Then you ask yourself, okay, is that something I actually want to be? So that's your default program, right? You're being a procrastinator right now. That's what you are doing and being at this moment. That's the place that you're coming from in life. The personality that you're coming from in life. I'm just giving you analogies to make it sink into your subconscious. So then secondly, you ask yourself, is that what I need to be to get the results that I desire? And if the answer is no, then we need to change that shit. And then the first question is going to be, if the answer is no, okay, what would be a workable personality for me to achieve my goals, right? So let's say that you're at point A right now. And if we do a business example, you're making 10 grand a month, right? And you want to get to 100 grand a month. Is a procrastinator realistically going to get from A to B in that scenario? Probably not. So you're going to ask yourself, at point B, what personality would I have if I would have realized those results? And you're probably going to say someone who takes action relentlessly, right? Someone who just does it as soon as it comes up, whether that's making my bed, whether that's, cleaning shit, or whether that's answering an email. I just do it instantly, okay? And that's the personality. So it's an action taker. It's someone who is proactive. We're going to use that mental stance, that as a word to describe the mental stance that you're going to need to be coming from if you want to achieve that point B, okay? And in all honesty, proactivity is something that is probably going to be applicable for anyone trying to get to any point B, okay? Because if you're trying to achieve anything, you probably need to be that. So I need to be coming from a proactive personality, right? So then what you're going to do is you're going to say, ignore that whole past thing. We're going to start from a clean slate, and then you're from now on going to act as if you are proactive. And you're going to follow the actions because you're being that, right? So you decide that you are proactive from now on, just like I told you in that beginning, right? In the example of okay, you are, you've lost all your memory. And someone tells you, hey, you're a guy who's really productive. You're a very proactive person. You're very honest. Okay, so one of the things in there was proactive. Are you then very likely to start behaving proactive? Yeah, because you believe you are, because there was no other memories, right? So how do we recreate that scenario? Because obviously you can't really actually forget everything that you are. And you probably wouldn't want to, because you probably have some nice memories in there too. At least I hope so. So how do we then do that? The only way to then do that is to just decide. It's kind of a fake it till you make it attitude, right? Or believe it till you achieve it, whatever the fuck you want to say for a little riddle, okay? But it's all the same shit. You just step into it like it's true. That's it. And then from there on, the more reference experiences that you go through and that you create as if it is true, the more it solidifies in your subconscious mind, okay? So the woman who I told you about in the movie, obviously for her, it only took a 3 to 5 minute video that her husband put together with some slides to get into this identity, because there was no other resistance, right? There was no other stuff. So for you, what it's going to look like is not like that. It's going to just be in those moments, you're going to be able to maintain that for like a couple minutes first, right? And then it's going to be a couple hours that you're going to be able to maintain a proactive attitude and identity right away. And then you slip into default mode, and then you snap yourself out of it. As soon as you slip into default mode of being non-proactive, you say, not that, and you shift, okay? And you consciously interject the path that you were going down, and you interject and you switch to a different train track and down that train track of proactivity, okay? And then shift into that personality right away. Oh shit, no, not that. Shift into the personality of being proactive, and then boom, take the first action, right? That's how you do it. And you can do this with anything. You can even do it with, like, if you're out and about and you want to shift from being fearful and being, hesitant, pulling back, you want to shift into being confident and, active, right? Then you can just make that shift like that. And I'll tell you a quick example. I've told it in a previous video, so I won't make it too long. But I happened to be talking about this yesterday, okay? Because I was sparring a guy. I was helping him prepare for his competition, a team member of mine here. And, he's a little less experienced than me, I would say. Obviously, I fucked him up, but that's all to learn. And basically, we were chatting after the sparring, right? And I told him, listen, if you're going to go into your fight with this mentality, you're going to lose and you're going to get a head smashed in. Because what he was doing in the sparring is he was being hesitant. He wasn't committing, right? His focus point, his mental stance was to not get hurt, right? His mental stance, but in a way where it was fearful, right? His mental stance was hesitant. It was back, right? So I felt zero intimidation from him, which makes me only better, right? Because I feel more safe and confident and I get access to my potential more. Because if you're very comfortable, then you get access to more of your potential, right? Just like if you're talking to your brother versus if you're talking to someone that you're a fan of, right? You're less comfortable, so now you can't be yourself and as witty, right? So at least with most people have that, right? That's just an example. So with him, he was acting like that. Now that obviously is going to come out more if you're sparring someone who's better and better and better, but you still need to maintain a attitude of like, I don't give a fuck, right? And just a forward attitude and just an intimidating attitude instead of being intimidated, right? So I told him all that, and frankly, I don't think that the guy is really going to apply it. He just doesn't seem like he has it. He doesn't look like he has it, but maybe he'll make the change. We'll see. So anyways, I just told him, like, look, either you decide that you're going to go into any sparring and you're just going to come forward, and it's not physically necessarily. You can still go backward and still be, the intimidator. But you can't go into sparring sessions continuously and just be intimidated, right? You can be intimidated, but you can't show it and you can't actually act on that. And I told him this story. I'll keep this real short, this one, because I've told it before. But I told him this story when I was in Mexico, which was a bunch of months ago. And I was sparring a guy who was 23 in the world. You can check it right now. He's called Julio Avila or some shit like that, some Mexican name. Nickname called Luna. Anyways, this guy is literally on BoxRec, professional boxer, ranked 23 in the world in the welter division, okay, which is like a little bit lighter than me. And so anyways, this guy was going to spar him. And I was already nervous up front because I knew that this guy's a banger, right? And obviously he's like, oh, damn near the best in the goddamn world. So I'm going to spar him for 4 rounds. You can't go out and there's no going light, right? So I was already nervous up front. And I also, right, everybody gets nervous and shit, but it's just about how you go and treat that. And so I went into sparring and I was just like, fuck that, this, right? Not that, this. And I went to that fucking sparring. And I'm telling you, we couldn't record it, but there's some pictures of it. Maybe I'll throw it up here. And I went into that sparring like a motherfucker, okay? I came forward, I was being myself 100 fucking percent. And I just, honestly, it was probably pretty even, right? Like a 50-50, ultimately the result. Or I would say that I may have had the upper hand. That's just my opinion. My coach said I did really well as well. But anyways, the point of that is I was scared. I wanted to retrieve. I wanted to go back. I wanted to just punch light because that's naturally what you're going to want. But I interjected and I said, no, we're fucking going at this fucking guy with everything we got, right? And we're just going to fucking, and it doesn't mean that I don't have technique. It just means that, okay, I'm going in there, from a place of confidence, from a place of being a savage, right? And that's how I'm entering. And then my actions reflected that. And then he wasn't like, oh, I'm just going to be able to fuck around with this guy, right? Because as soon it's just like, what people always say, like in high school, elementary school rather, that they always bully people who show that they can be bullied, right? Or when people are going to rob a person, they're always going to choose the person who walks kind of like this, right? Who's just looking like they can be fucked with. So once again, that is the same in a boxing ring. Like if you show that you can be fucked with, if you show any level of intimidation or fatigue or whatever, the guy just increases in his ability by that much because it's a psychological thing, right? He gets his winner effect activated. And we can go into that a little bit, the winner effect, because this ties into what we talked about before with, your identity. If you start getting those reference experiences, even if they're very small, right? Of like, okay, you actually embodying that quality that you need and want to embody in the future, that you're going to develop this winner effect, right? And the winner effect essentially means that small wins give you dopamine and serotonin boosts, just like a cup of coffee or something like that, right? Something small. So no ecstasy, MDMA, guys. Don't get crazy on me, right? It's not the weekend yet. So anyways, actually, I think it is, yeah. But anyways, it is actually Saturday here. So the wins like that, they give you a small dopamine boost and serotonin boost, and that allows you to access more of your capabilities, right? That allows you, like, when you're just feeling yourself, whether that's in a social scenario or a business scenario, like when you just closed a couple deals and now you're going in the next one, just so confident, you're just really fucking in flow, you're feeling your fucking self, right? That feeling is called the winner effect, okay? And you want to cultivate that as much as possible in every scenario in your life, right? And you do that by having small wins to medium wins to bigger wins, right? But they're all wins, right? And the problem is, to get a bigger win, it usually takes a winner mentality. Like you usually need to be kind of in the flow of things to make that happen, right? And so it's kind of hard to go for the biggest win right away. So let's say that you've been procrastinating a lot, and now you're just gonna think like, oh, I'm just gonna fucking crush a 12-hour workday, and you've not done shit, right, for a while. Then that's gonna be a quite a big ask, right? You could make it happen, and I'm all for like going for the biggest win, but a more realistic kind of thing is to start stacking smaller wins, right? Start stacking the win of like, okay, I just did this annoying task that I have been putting off for a while. And it can even be, okay, I just cleaned my room. Okay, I just fixed my email organization. Okay, I just did that. And now you've just done 3 small wins. And now you're already, okay, we're fucking in there, right? We're going. Get a little boost of dopamine, right? Get a little boost of serotonin. And then from there on, you want to take on a little bit bigger projects, a little bit bigger things. And now you're in that winning momentum, right? And when you feel like a winner, you can do anything, okay? I'm just telling you. I was even talking about this with a friend, and it's like, when you're making good fucking money, when you're just making, like I'm clocking in, probably on average 5 to 10K a day profit at the moment, but we're doing a new project. So that's going to be like, I honestly, and I know most of you guys on this channel, like you don't really know what my business is and what I do for my money. And you don't really know my career because it's a reasonably new channel, and we're getting a reasonably new audience is what I'm more so mean to say. But I've been doing that since I was 19. When I was 19, I was clocking in, 100K a month profit, 150K revenue. with my businesses, in marketing and consulting and that kind of stuff. That was mostly in my original country. Anyways, not to go into that, but when you're doing that, when you haven't made that kind of money in a while, and then you start really fucking clocking in the cash every day, you get this winner effect. Now you feel like you can do anything, right? So if you're not there yet, you can actually visualize and step into that, right? How would you feel if you were just waking up to Stripe notifications of getting paid out 10 grand, 10 grand a day, whatever. And even if you have had wins like that, then you can kind of associate to that win and just increase it to make it more real for yourself. Because if you think about decisions, right, you need to be deciding things. You need to be thinking and deciding things from that place where you are already in that winner effect feeling, in that successful feeling. Okay, because if you decide things from that place, then you're going to get to that place, because obviously you're deciding as the person who is at that place. You get what I'm saying? Let's zoom in on this. You're deciding as the person who is already at that place mentally. Therefore, it's physics. You would have to get there, right? Because that person is already there. But you got to learn to really think in hypothetical scenarios, because most people are absolute fuckwits with this, right? And they just can't even, they're just too fucking stupid to even think of a hypothetical scenario. All right, I'll give an example. Like, I always talk to my friends about this, right? I have a lot of successful, extremely successful friends. And obviously, these motherfuckers, often enough, they're like, okay, I got this girl that I really like, right? And then I'm like, listen, man, you're gonna grow so much over the next year, 2 years, 5 years, whatever. And you're gonna have all the options in the world. I wouldn't lock it down right now if you're not really sure about it. And they're like, oh yeah, even if I get there, or they're just like all loved up and stuff. What happens, 1 year, 2 years later, now they're famous, now they're extremely, extremely successful, and they leave that girl, right? Because they never fought in a hypothetical scenario. And they, in the sense that, they kind of wasted the girl's time because they were like communicating in a way where like, oh, we're going to get married, this and that. And then they just bounce, right? Because they couldn't think in a simple hypothetical scenario. If I would have truly all the options and truly all that, would I still want this girl? And I'm not saying that you should or you shouldn't. I'm just saying you should decide, from a place that has all the options, right? So maybe you do. Maybe you would still take that girl. But I'm just saying, learn to think in hypothetical scenarios, right? Because you need to understand if you still would want the option if you had all the options. It's the same with anything else, right? Okay, you have this business and you're like, oh, I'm super passionate about this, or you have this little thing that you're doing. Okay, would you still do this if you were able to make 10 mil a year, right? Yeah. No. Okay, take a second there. Like, you're not visualizing properly. Visualize properly and hypothetical sketch it out properly to where you really feel the feelings, and then decide if you would still do that. Okay, because most likely the answer is no, because you're not even thinking of options. You've never even thought of those options that you don't think are possible, right? And so therefore you're making wrong decisions because you're not actually including everything that could happen. Okay, so that's just a quick side note there. But fellas, seriously, these things that I'm sharing with you here, like, as you can probably tell, like these YouTube videos, I just do them off the cuff. This is not a channel that's designed to necessarily be huge. If it does, that's amazing. But if I can only, impact even one person with these little videos, then that genuinely makes me very happy. And so these deeper level thoughts are actually, in my experience, right? This is an opinion, and you can reject this 100%. You got to think for yourself. But I'm just saying, these deeper thoughts of truly how to think about things, how to enter things before you even think, right? Where to come from in life, right? This deeper layer that very few people, in my opinion, talk about. Because on YouTube, it's all like, oh, the 5 mindset tips to be more productive. Schedule your day, write in a journal. Bro, come on, man. Don't we all know that shit, Do you really have to listen to that fucking shit? Anyways, so that is, and on that note, guys, if any of you need some more extensive help, this is honestly a passion project of mine. If you want to know more about the business I do, there's some videos on my channel that talk about that. But if you want to have, some mindset help and some personal help, whether that's with your social life or your mindset, with your business growth, any of that, then just DM me the word coaching on Instagram. My Instagram is @BoydHoek. I'll leave all this stuff in the description so you can check that out, and you can shoot me a message. I'm just going to answer myself because this is, once again, more something that I do out of passion. And because when I speak a lot, when I coach people, and when I do that, I learn a lot from it as well. Okay. And so that's why I do this, but this is not my main kind of company and thing that I do for money, right? As you could probably tell with the production quality that we've got over here. Anyways, going back a little bit to what we were talking about in the beginning of the vid, let's do that, because that memory thing is so vital that you really understand that you can recreate who you are at any point in time. But a lot of people have resistance to that, and that simply is because you're thinking about all you have this track record of not being like that, and it's very painful for humans to act differently than we think we are, right? So it's not going to be easy, and it's even harder to act differently in front of people that expect us to be a certain way. So if your friends know you as shy and guy who doesn't really talk that much and is not really outgoing, etc., and then all of a sudden you start acting like you're the motherfucking G over here in this bitch, then yeah, they're going to be a little bit like, okay, man, you're not really this, right? Like the most, if you just think of this as well, like one of the most cringe things is people that try to be something they're not. Okay, it's people that are, simply that, like those just people who you can clearly see, dude, you're not that, man. Just be yourself, and that's cool enough, right? That's actually cool, like, but you're not that. So people who try to be something that they're not, but that is just something that humans don't like, right? I'm just saying it's very cringe. It is, but that shouldn't actually necessarily stop you from doing it. The reason it's cringe, the reason we don't like that, is because it all goes back to evolutionary psychology. When we were when we were cavemen, so way back in the day, right, thousands of years ago, our mind, basically was designed to have pain towards all of these kinds of things. Because why? If you're just in a cave, in a little tribe of 50 people, right, and all of a sudden someone switches out, this motherfucker just switched up on you real quick. All of a sudden he's stealing your girl. All of a sudden he's a different fucking guy, right? It's painful. The reason we associate pain to that, and the reason we don't like that as people when someone just changes like that, is because it's unsafe, right? It's like, okay, if you're in a tribe of 50 people, everybody has their tasks, right? Everybody has their survival tasks and this and that. You got to be able to expect, know what you're going to be able to expect from people. Otherwise, it's going to be a mess, and it's just going to be random as fuck. And that's a big thing. And then additionally, nowadays, especially, also, if you start changing a lot, right, and you all of a sudden are, becoming way more successful, this and that, the reason people hate a lot on people online that show that they have money or that show that they have a cool lifestyle, whatever, the reason people hate on that a lot, or that even if people teach you how to make money, like, dude, there's nothing wrong with that. And that's one of my businesses where we actually teach you how to, create an online business and this and that. But there's nothing wrong with that inherently. Obviously, there's scammers out there, right? And that's not fucking cool. And that should be legally prosecuted, right? But if you were making money with something and then you teach other people how to do that, there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, right? And it's completely ethical and it's actually, you kind of should do that because you're like helping people, right? If they're making an ROI and they put in the work themselves, then yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of people hate on that kind of stuff because if that were to be true, right, they just want to call everybody a scammer, which is also not fair. Because if it were to be true that you could really do that kind of stuff, then they would have to now acknowledge to themselves that they've wasted years of their life, a lot of money probably, and just, they've just been in a position where they would have to accept a lot of sunk cost, right? They've been fucking up for a long time now. They would have to accept that. So it's much easier to just say, nah, that's all bullshit. They're scammers, right? And just hate on it. Because that allows you to circumvent that whole feeling. And additionally, it's not only about the past, it's also about the future. If they were to acknowledge that that could be true, then they would now have to start taking rigorous action to actually make that happen. Because if they wouldn't, they would know that there's a possibility, but they are not doing it. So now they're feeling very bad about it, right? So there's a lot of reasons why people act. There's always reasons why people do things that they, do the things they do and why people act the way they act. So anyways, bringing it back to you, that's why it's kind of difficult to change and remain in the same kind of social scene and social circle. It is 100% possible, but you're going to have to push through that discomfort. And it's definitely easier for you to move to a place where you don't even know anybody. So let's say that you're from a small town, or you're from just a different, smaller country. Like, I'm personally from the Netherlands. I grew up close to Amsterdam. And then I fucked off to Bali when I was 18, when I was making my first 4K a month. And then I fucked off to LA when I had been 6 months in Bali. And then after that, I went to LA when I was making about 30K a month, 25 to 30 in profit. And so, those things really helped me to cultivate my own identity and to grow me, as a person, because I was really all of a sudden out of all of the people that I was attached to, right? And that I was like, when a location, especially together with all the people that were there from there, makes it very hard for you to all of a sudden start switching up on people, right? All of a sudden start acting differently, because all your habits and all of your identity and all of your traits, they're kind of linked. As humans, we link things together, right? Our brain is essentially an anchoring machine. How we learn things is simply by, okay, A is happening and B is happening, so that must be linked, right? Okay, I push the door down and now it opens, so that's linked. Push the door down and it opens, right? Now I learned something. Okay, if I do this with my mouth, it made this sound. Okay, if I do, you get it? If I was very young and I got bit by a dog and that shit fucking hurt, then now I'm scared of dogs, right? Because I linked dogs and pain in my motherfucking arm. Okay, scared of dogs. So that's how things work. It's actually quite simple if you really break it down, how the human mind operates. Anybody that tells you, oh, it's over complex, this and that, nah, that's all bullshit, because that's just, look, obviously there's complexities to it, but to change things, it's quite simple. It's just not easy, okay? Because we all know that if you start let's just go with the dog example. Let's say that within your personality, you're scared of dogs, right? What's the way to get rid of it? You have one very big reference experience that shows you that dogs are very fucking scary, okay? So we're gonna have to overcome that. Now, we can do that by doing some mental processes, and I actually have studied NLP, hypnosis. I'm a master in both those things, meaning I've completed those things, and educations, and all of that kind of stuff. And I used to coach people in that, etc. So you can do these mental things to kind of dim the light, right? And to dim it down, the intensity of that event. And that'll make it easier for you to then now get over that fear of dogs. But I'm just going to tell you that even without any of that, because sometimes people say like, oh yeah, the only way to get rid of something is to do it in hypnosis. Otherwise it doesn't work. That's fucking bullshit. And you're just limiting people, because you're just trying to get fucking clients or fucking get people to pay you for your shit, because you think that if they think that the only way is hypnosis, then yeah, they need you essentially, right? That's not true. That's a very limiting thought, actually. It's not even empowering at all, because there's always a way to change something just by yourself in a very easy and simple manner. And that is called exposure therapy, right? If you are, for example, scared of dogs, if we're with that example again, you don't even have to do anything in your mind or whatever. You could just do the following. Let's say that you're absolutely feared of dogs, right? Scared of dogs. What you could do is, first of all, you watch a movie of a dog, right? That's a very nice dog. I actually got a fucking example for you. There's this movie called Hachi or some shit, okay? I watched it with my family, like last year, and just when I was visiting for family times. And it's just about this very sweet dog and this and that, who just doesn't want to leave his owner. It's a very, very lukewarm movie, okay? So nobody's going to get scared from this movie. So you watch that movie. Okay, now you've had a little bit of a positive association with the dog. Now, yes, it's a movie, but that's still, your brain doesn't see the difference necessarily as much, right? So it's a little one. Then the next step is going to be get a fucking toy that's a dog, right? Then the next step is going to be get just the sweetest dog you could ever see and just look at the dog, right? And then the next step is going to be, anyways, you just build on the ladder of difficulty, right? And then you're going to just have your friend bring over his super safe, super sweet dog that can never hurt you, and you play with it a little bit, right? And you just take it step by step. And now you're not afraid of dogs anymore. And the best thing you could do, obviously, is you want to just keep reinforcing that, right? Until it's like fully locked in. So it's not just you do it in one day that you could overcome it in one day, but the best thing is to just keep doing that. So, once a week, you keep seeing dogs and stuff like that, and touching dogs, and you're going to be rid of that fear. So that's the most simple way of building something new, because people think, oh, I need to dig in and I need to eliminate the bad roots, right? People also give analogies to other people, right? People that speak about things online, they give analogies, and analogies can make things seem true, even though the analogy makes absolutely zero sense necessarily, right? That's a very important thing for you to understand. Like, the fact that someone just told you a perfect analogy doesn't make it true at all, right? Like, you could say, oh yeah, because a tree has its roots and that's what's supporting the tree. So therefore, if you want to change something, you actually need to change your roots, right? It makes sense, doesn't it, right? Because it's like, oh yeah, well, a tree also, like, you can't change the tree if you change it. You get what I'm saying, right? I can't think of like all the analogies that people use now, but the point that I'm trying to make is clear. Meanwhile, the actual truth, I just got to relax my hand here, fellas. The actual truth is that, like, I'm going to give you a different analogy. And once again, you don't have to believe this because it's just an analogy. So it doesn't actually make any sense, but it's just for you to visualize it. If there's like some dirty water somewhere and then a fucking tsunami happens and goes over that area with the dirty water, what's going to happen to the dirty water? It's going to flush away, right? Why? Because the tsunami is that much bigger and it just washes over the other stuff, right? That's what happens when you just do the dog approach that I just mentioned. You kind of override any previous program that was there. You don't have to actually go in and take that out. The way to do that, the most simple and most effective way that I have found, as I'm saying, right? I got to keep it to myself because, like, as I'm saying, these other people, they're talking about a lot of shit, that speaking of it as facts when it's really not even true, to be honest, in my experience. So once again, you don't have to go dig into your past and get all these things out. You need to focus on what is going to be the opposing character trait or opposing belief or whatever, and install that. Because if you install the opposing belief, what's going to happen to the limiting previous belief? It's going to be overridden by that, because you cannot be not scared of dogs and scared of dogs at the same time. How the fuck does that make sense? Okay? So what would be the most... I mean, guys, do we even have to fucking talk about this shit? Come on, man. And obviously, I'm talking about scared of dogs, but that's just one example that's simple, but it can be anything, right? It can be scared of public speaking. It can be scared of being rich. It can be scared of anything, right? So what's the best way? It's just to install the new one, right? Because then you save yourself this whole fucking job of being a goddamn detective of your own mind and having to go in and think about everything endlessly and talk to some goddamn 45-year-old therapist for hours. Now, I'm not saying that it's wrong to talk to a therapist or whatever. I personally don't, but I also have conversations with my best friends that are extremely successful, this and that. And I do believe, even as men and women and this and that, it's good to kind of like have conversations about stuff and kind of speak about shit. Hey man, how do you feel about that? Like, what do you think about this? Etc. Right? It's good to like talk things through, but I'm just saying it's not necessary for change. Okay? So anyways, that is just a really important point. All you need to do is identify what you currently are, have, or, experience, and then find what is the one that would be workable for my desired results in my life. And then you're going to go and install that. And you can do that by creating reference experiences. Now, if it's too difficult for you to create a proper reference experience, we're just going to stay with the dog example here. If it's too difficult, if you can't even watch a movie before you get a fucking panic attack, right? What are you going to do then? You can just literally think, or if you don't have a movie about a pretty dog, right? You can visualize a dog, okay? Literally visualize a dog being like 100 meters away, right? And you just get exposure, because if you see dogs and it's safe at the same time, your brain is going to start associating and anchoring those things together. So, okay, dog, but it's still safe. So that means dogs are safe. But that takes much longer and it's much more difficult than dogs are unsafe, right? Because you only need one time that a dog bites you and now dogs are unsafe. But you would need like 100 times, right, where the dog shows to be safe for you to get real conviction in that, okay? So people that... guys. Why do I get so frustrated about this shit? It's because I don't think it serves you. But what I'm about to say is what I'm referring to. People say, like, oh yeah, an affirmative thought or like a positive thing is always more powerful than a negative. That's such bullshit. That's just such bullshit because our brains are designed to avoid negativity, right? So your brain is not gonna accept you dreaming about a dog once or you watching one little movie about a dog and then releasing its fear of dogs because it's trying to protect you, right? It needs proper evidence before it's gonna allow you to do that. Now, there are ways to speed up that process. Like you can actually I can hypnotize people as well, right? You can hypnotize people and that way you can get into the subconscious more quickly. So that's a way to accelerate it and make it more easy for the person. But, you know, my thing is always like, hey, dude, you're going to just get so much more resilience as a personal trait if you just fix this yourself, in the sense of like, if you just go through that exposure process, right? You're going to have overcome it completely yourself. Well, look, coaching is always great, right? But I'm saying within that coaching thing, I can also tell you, just go through it this way, right? Because, and adapt, you know, just go through the process because it's not always that you want it to be easy, right? Now, I'm not talking about like, oh, don't get help, try everything yourself, right? I personally invest a lot of money in coaches and everything in every different aspect. But I'm just saying, don't always look for the easiest way out in that sense of the word. Anyways, that's basically how you change yourself. And, you know, once again, stop associating to the past and to all those things in there that, you know, have been holding you back and that have been, you know, having this whole sheet of like who you think you are. Like who you think you are is a very fluid concept, okay? Like you can change it at any moment. Like you can go and be anyone. You can be anything. And a funny way of trying this out, dude, is like go to a bar where you don't know anybody, maybe different city, maybe even different country, and just act like think about before you go there, just a social scenario. It could be anything, and just it could even be a fucking whatever, the gym or whatever, like anything where you kind of talk to people, and just think before you go there. I am going to act like I am a superstar, billionaire, celebrity, whatever, right? And just completely behave as if you are that. Okay, and you can also take this to another level if you're like actually in like a bar, and you can even lie, right? Because it's just for your own social experiment. You shouldn't then continue any relationship with those people because you fucking lied to them, right? Or you should tell them honestly, hey, I was just doing a social experiment. But anyways, you can lie, you can do whatever, okay? And just see how that feels, right? And just give that a fucking try. Because I'm telling you, if you learn to like shift your identity and shift your mental stance once again, your self-perception and where you're coming from, that is going to be the most powerful fucking thing in your life. Like I'm telling you, because who we are as a person is what our reality is going to be. So if you're able to change that, that's the biggest fucking leverage point that you've got. So anyways, give that a try and see how it feels, right? Just be someone completely different for just 1 hour, just a couple hours, right? And give that to yourself as a challenge. And then from there on, you can obviously start building on that. And look, this is not to say that you're going to actually go throughout your life lying to fucking people and pretending to be someone you're not, right? But it's just to say that you're going to evolve in different traits. Like I think we all know with a normal logical fucking sense of logic what I mean, okay? So give that a try, do something like that. And right now, you know, besides that, go grab a sheet of paper and write down who are you as a person. And you can also make it specific to a context. Who are you in business, right? And being at your point A, by where you currently are, who have you been to be where you are, right? So, okay, I've been a person who's not proactive. I've been a person who is procrastinating. I've been a person who is not thinking wealthy thoughts, whatever, right? And then who would I need to be? I already told you this, right? At point B, who would I be if I had that result? And then bring that motherfucker right to the present, okay? And just realize that you can be anyone. Literally. If you want to just become a fucking rock star, if you want to become a badass motherfucker, if you want to become a billionaire, if you want to become just whatever kind of personality you could think of, you could actually become it. There's nothing stopping you from doing that. Because, I mean, look at this. These days, you can even become a transgender, okay? A human rights defender. I just saw that video recently. That thing fucking cracked me up. And anyways, that is the point that I will leave you fellas on. Once again, if you want to have some more information, or if you want to have a chat with me, just shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'll leave it in the description. I can't put links for whatever reason, so it's just @BoydHook. I'll leave it down there. And with that being said, go crush it, my friend, and I will see you in the next one.